So, the automotive industry is hell-bent on making all of their cars electric or electrified by 2030. Not really the strategy I would opt for if I was in their shoes, but they're the business experts, they know... Oh dear. My dear viewers, the automotive industry messed up. After the waning interest in electric cars for a multitude of reasons, practically every single automaker under the face of the sun has basically come out and said, nope, hybrids. I haven't really said this publicly, but I vowed to never make another video about the automotive industry's electrification plans after my last couple. My opinions were outlined clearly, and I made the decision to just point to one of those videos should anyone ask me again what I think about the situation. But now there's a new development, and it's one worthy of a video. Because of all the things I said and all the constructive warnings I sent out to the car industry, not that anyone from the industry saw those videos, turned out to be well advised. In the past couple months, there has been a trend of automakers coming out and saying basically the same regurgitated sentence. Oh yeah, interest in electric cars has dropped off a cliff. We won't become all electric brands by 2030 or 2035 or whenever the f***. We'll just focus on hybrids and let the market direct what our cars will run on. Pretty much every single automaker has said some version of the above sentence. Even the ones that were more hell-bent than everybody else, i.e. Mercedes and Volkswagen, even they realized that it was all bogus, and have decided to focus on hybrids and other power options, with Mercedes even halting the development of a new EV platform that was meant to underpin their second generation of EVs. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Just take a look at what the car industry has been doing for the past month or two. Ferrari just came out with a brand new naturally aspirated V12, one that revs to 9,500 RPM no less. Aston Martin, despite also vowing to hop over to downsizing and electrified cars, is about to come out with a new twin-turbo V12 that may or may not power a new Vanquish. The facelifted Porsche 911 is rumored to use a naturally aspirated flat 6 even in the hybrid version, despite the fact that the current 911 uses a turbo flat 6. Renault and Geely have announced a partnership to develop internal combustion engines, and also I forgot to write this in the script, so I'm just going to ad-lib it here real quick. Renault's boss, Luca De Meo, came out and said, look, the constant regulations from the European Union are a bunch of crap. Why don't we get subsidies for K-cars and stuff? It's just the European Union is giving us tighter and tighter regulations. He also demanded that the European Union and the Commission just reevaluate themselves a little bit. And there's so much more. Peugeot, after hammering electrification left, right, and center, have introduced mild hybrid powertrains on virtually all of their models. In fact, most of Stellantis has done the same thing, at least the brands that sell something based on the CMP platform. The Jeep Avenger, although it was meant to be electric only, is also available with a mild hybrid powertrain, along with a non-hybrid gas motor in some markets. Same applies to the Fiat 600, and same applies to the recently revealed Alfa Romeo Jr. and the facelifted Opel Corsa and Peugeot 208, and the new Lancia Ypsilon as well. And of course, Toyota and Mazda are still exploring new ways to keep the internal combustion engine alive. Hydrogen combustion engines are picking up traction. Ford CEO Jim Farley promised the Mustang will not go electric. Ferrari will be sticking to internal combustion for as long as they're allowed to, and of course we can't forget Porsche's e-fuel plan. The only automaker that is still very much on track to total disaster, a fully electric lineup as early as next year, is Jaguar. Look forward to a full video on that complete enigma in the near future. So what does all of this mean? It means that the automotive industry finally woke up. All of these automakers realized that there was no way in hell they would roll out a lineup comprised exclusively of electric cars in half a decade, not just because it's insanely expensive and unfeasible, but also because the support is just not there. Infrastructure issues plague most global automotive markets, with the exception of a handful, and consumer interest in electric cars is starting to slowly dwindle. Not just because of those infrastructure issues, but also because of the pricing. They're just too damn expensive, and I mentioned this in one of the previous videos as well. Above anything else, this situation is hilarious. Years and years ago, before I was involved with the car industry professionally, even then I knew that this was never going to pan out the way the industry and lawmakers intended. I saw all of them one by one claim they'll have an all-electric lineup by 2030 or 2035 because EVs are the future, yada yada yada, and then I saw all of them one by one back off and claim that hybrids are the future and blah 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 blah. It's just funny to me. It's like telling a kid that something is a bad idea, and when they find out that it really is, they come to you with pissed pants and a pouty face. When I'm not laughing though, I am really glad that the industry finally woke up. So now comes the ultimate question. What's next? Well, I think that electric cars will not go away completely. If anything, because automakers have dumped more money on EVs than Eastern Europe on sports betting. However, car manufacturers are finally starting to see the benefit of that technology-neutral approach and what might happen if they started thinking fourth dimensionally. Even Marty McFly was able to do that eventually. Electric cars will stay for the foreseeable and non-foreseeable future. And most small commuter cars that the enthusiasts don't really care about will become fully electric in good time. In fact, some of them are about to roll out very soon, stuff like the Cupra Raval and the Volkswagen ID2. In the future, I think that internal combustion engine cars and electric cars will coexist alongside each other, and consumers will simply be given a choice. Of course, the world reserves of oil will also run out eventually, so you gotta wonder what will power the internal combustion engines of the future. Hydrogen immediately comes to mind. I know about the naysayers, and I know about the risks and the immense costs and engineering required to use hydrogen power on an internal combustion engine. I also know that automakers have showed that they can sometimes mess up with their R&D budgets, but I firmly believe that the automakers investing in hydrogen know something that we don't. And I don't think the investment in hydrogen would have been so big if they didn't at least somewhat believe in it. E-fuels are another option for internal combustion cars, but 1, we have to see if the EU agrees to give them a shot, and 2, automakers have to prove that they can be produced on an industrial scale, which at time of press they still haven't. Who knows, there might just be another type of biofuel that comes from a different sustainable source. Think Chew 2 from Cyberpunk's 2077. In any case, a lot of enthusiasts who are also total EV naysayers don't really have much to worry about right now, as we will have cars powered by internal combustion and gasoline for a long while more, even if they do contain some sort of hybrid component, which they most likely will. I know you're probably getting ready to type, but you're an EV naysayer too, fake and gay, unsubscribed. Fine, I can't stop you. But I'd like to clarify once more that I am not an EV naysayer. Far from it. I have driven my fair share of EVs and I can totally see the benefits. I also see the drawbacks, and I also see the drawbacks of running headfirst into a single technology and totally ignoring taking what we already have and just making it better. To quote myself from my previous video, 20 years ago when we had feature phones, all your Sony Ericssons and your Siemens and your, LGs and stuff. And then in 2007, Apple came out with the original iPhone, and then we started getting more and more smartphones. And smartphones are indeed what sells the most today. But you can still buy feature phones if you want, because there are some people that simply prefer using feature phones. Whether it's because they're elderly and they don't really understand smartphones, or it's because they don't really need all the features that a smartphone has, or they just need it for work. You can still buy a feature phone today, and actually we found a way to make them better with KaiOS, that whole light feature phone operating system that can run some smartphone apps like Google Maps and what have you. You've probably heard of it if you follow the tech space. And that's all well and fine. You have a smartphone with all the features that you might want and necessarily don't need, but you also have a feature phone if that's what you prefer. Now imagine if, 10 years ago, some random governing body came out and said, we're gonna ban feature phones from existing, everyone will be forced to switch to smartphones. The public wouldn't have taken that all that well, huh? That's exactly what's happening with electric cars. And there we are. The automotive industry finally saw that galloping directly into an EV-only lineup so soon is a terrible idea. I'm happy about this outcome, and I'll be watching closely what the future of the internal combustion engine will be. Until then, however, I can say with confidence that the days of total electric car domination are still a lot further away than we think. And that's going to be about it for this video, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, be sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter, there will be a link in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.